You wouldn't build a house without a foundation, so don't build your business without one. This is Mindset Monday, where we lay out the tools, frameworks, and mindset you need to scale your contracting or trading business today. All right, welcome back to Mindset Monday. We're working through some cool new pieces of technology, if you will. As you can see, we are changing our background and our lighting, trying to make this a little more professional, as they like to say. So give me some feedback if you guys like this. We've got some pictures that we put up here on the wall in the background. We've got some lights, both forward-facing and rear-facing. And then, of course, we got the mic. But we are excited to be with you here again for another episode of Mindset Monday. You guys know the drill. If you're here live, go ahead and drop your name and your business name in the comments, and we'll give you the good old shout out. Got Daniel. Uh-oh, he's first again. I like this. We got Daniel with Noble Custom and Glass and Mirror checking in from Beaufort, Georgia. Welcome to the show. We got Rachel with NSP Construction in West Virginia. Welcome, Rachel. So last week, I had this really cool opportunity to go to the International Builders Show. I don't know if you guys have ever had a chance to go. If you have, go ahead and drop it in the comments. But I went to the International Builders Show, which was down this year in Orlando. We got Jesse from Jesse James Outlaw Electric in Utah. Welcome. If you've ever been, they switch every year between Vegas and Orlando, but I guess next year on, it's going to be in Vegas. So it's such a unique experience, and I highly, highly recommend going, but I don't recommend only going for one day, which is what we did this year. Give it a couple of days, because I kid you not, there are thousands of vendors and there's hundreds of thousands of square feet of space, right? And so we spent an entire day, 9 a.m. To, I think it ended about 5 p.m., but it was probably 6 or 7 p.m. by the time we left, wandering through all the different booths and displays and everything else that was going on there. So Max says that he's been there, which is awesome. We've got Michael Close with Evergreen GC out of Olympia, Washington. Welcome to the show. It is a very unique experience. So again, highly, highly, highly recommend going. Now, I looked at it from a couple different perspectives, right? So full transparency, the original plan was to take my phone and record some segments. Hey, I'm over here at this booth. I'm talking to this guy, or whatever the thing is. Crazy part was I walked in and I looked around and I was like, there's no way. Like, there's no way you should have been present and also recording at the same time. It was impossible. Now, I did see some people do what I should have done, which was hire somebody to follow them around. So next year, I promise you, we'll have a recap. Plus next year, knock on wood, I'll have some classes there as well. So if you go to the International Builder Show, they don't just have displays and booths and things that they're selling. They also have education classes. You could also be part of a state, a national, or state, local, or national committee as well. So I got to meet and interact with some really, really cool people from all over the U.S. Builders, remodelers, trade business owners, vendors, just some really, really good people all around. So here's what I want to tell you, right? You're probably like, wait a minute, what does this have to do with hiring? I thought we were going to learn about a hiring process. We are, my friends. Stand by. She's coming. Now, the most important thing when it comes to building a business, right, is having people to support the building of the business, right? So whether you're a one-man band and you're hiring your first apprentice or assistant, whether you've got 10 guys and 2 trucks and now you're going to 3, doesn't matter where you are in the process, you need a process, right? And I'm going to tell you, the quicker you can put a process together, the easier hiring is going to be for you. Now, it doesn't make it simple. You still got to go through people, okay? But it makes it easier. I'm going to share a couple of experiences that we've had in the last couple of weeks when it comes to hiring. I'm also going to share with you our specific hiring process that we use here at Build Pro, not just with ourselves, but also with the clients that we work with. So back to the Builder Show. When you walk through a trade show, who do you think is manning the booth? Is the owner there? Probably, depending on the size of the business, but it's not just the owner. In fact, it can't just be the owner, because what happens if you have 2 people walk up or 3 people walk up, or in some cases, some of these booths, kid you not, hundreds of people walking through the booth? What do you do, right? You need to hire people, right? Hire people that are representing you as a business, that have your best interest in mind, that have a clear outcome as far as, okay, if I'm at a trade show, what am I trying to do? If I'm at a baseball game, what am I trying to do? If I'm going to a client's house, what am I trying to do? If I'm going to whatever the thing is, what am I trying to do? So your goal is not just to hire a person, right? But understand before you ever hire them, the role that they're supposed to play with you. We've got Stacy Owen with Great Solutions on. Welcome to the show. So Daniel asked, any interesting glass vendors down there? Lots and lots and lots of windows, my friend. I would say more than glass vendors was what they were doing with the glass, whether it was a sliding panels or whatnot. So I would say the windows with the glass more than anything, but they did have some really cool shower designs with glass and paneling and whatnot. But we could talk more about that later. Yes, to your question, right? Yes, to everything you could ever imagine when it comes to building materials or pieces of a structure. There was somebody there, right? Now, why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because I want you to understand something very specific, okay? I want you to understand that hiring will be something that you do as long as you own a business. Whether you're just you and one guy and you're going to stay at that size for the rest of your life, or whether it's you and a team of 100 or 1,000, right? You will be hiring for the rest of your business life, if you will. And if that's the case, you can't run from it. You can't hide from it. You can't pretend it doesn't exist. You can't hope and pray that the next hire is going to be the right hire. It's not going to work. Okay. What you need is a process that helps you filter through the bad ones and get to the good ones. But remember, even the good ones doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to keep the good ones or that they're going to end up. Yes, they interviewed well and they went through the process really well. Doesn't mean that they're going to be the best employees. I've seen that as well. So just fall in love with the process. You probably heard that before, especially if you're in sports, right? Fall in love with the process. If some of you are familiar with Nick Saban, he's really interesting. Nick Saban was a coach at Alabama. He's also a coach at LSU. He was a coach in the NFL. Was a very, very, very successful coach in college and professional football. He retired a couple of years ago. And I was watching an old video that he posted talking about coaching people, right? And in the video, he said, you want people that don't fall in love with the outcome, right? In football's case, a championship and winning the division and, all that good stuff. You want to find people who fall in love with the process, because if you can find people who fall in love with the process, what happens? Inevitably, the outcome will become real. Okay. Now back to IBS, International Builders Show. We walked through, hundreds of different booths, cabinets, flooring, showers, fixtures, faucets, framing, insulation. Literally they had a Tecovas boot company. They were there too, right? Like hundreds of booths. And I can tell you that there were some booths that their salespeople were absolute trash. In other words, they didn't come up and talk to you. They were on their phone the whole time, completely ignoring you, didn't care. Oh, but they had a little bowl of candy, right? Then you had people who had, I would say, mid-tier employees, right? Like they would talk to you, but they had no idea about the product. They had no idea what was going on. And that was that. And then you had the ones who could very quickly distinguish between a buyer and a browser, and knew what to do with both of them. It wasn't that they dumped the browsers. It's that they gave the browsers resources and said they were available if they had any questions. But the buyers, they stuck with the buyers. Why? Because they're buyers, right? So why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because as a business owner, you have to understand this mentality, right? And you're like, wait a minute, but I'm not big enough to hire a salesperson. Guess what? You're the salesperson. Guess what? Every employee that you have, that steps foot in anyone's house is a salesperson, okay? They are representing your company. Perfect example. We went to this cabinet manufacturer. I can't even remember the name. All I remember is they had a massive booth, right? That was themed. So they had different areas with different types of products, but right in the middle, someone had created a 20-foot long by about 5-foot wide guitar out of the wood that they get in Brazil that they build the cabinets out of. I mean, it was absolutely beautiful. All of their salespeople had at least white shirts and suit jackets. Okay. Some of them had ties, some didn't, but at least the suit jackets and the white shirts. Okay. Button down shirts. Okay. At least that. And every single person that walked in the booth at one of the 4 areas that you could walk in from had somebody greeting them. Every single person. Okay. So we walk in and we're browsing these new, walnut, I think it was walnut cabinets, right? Because we love cabinets and we're actually going to be upgrading the cabinets in our house right now. And so we're walking around and a salesperson comes up, introduces himself. I think his name was John or something like that. Right. And he comes up and he starts talking to us and he's like, what are you looking for? What's this? What's that? Right. And he's showing us this and whatnot. And I was asking him about the cabinet line. I was like, are these laminates? And he's like, yes, those are laminates. Well, tell me more about the laminate line. And that was the end of his knowledge level. Like he didn't know. But instead of saying, you know what, let me go find somebody who has more information on this, he tried to BS his way through it. And what do you think that did to us? Immediate turnoff, right? Didn't want to have anything to do with it. Why? Because I don't want to hear you who knows nothing about the product try and sell me on a product that you know nothing about. That's a mouthful, right? Now, think about it though this way, okay? You're hiring these people. So if you're hiring for a specific position, ask yourself this: should they be able to do that? Or is this a position that I'm willing to train for? Okay. Give you another example. We just hired a new video editor, right? Our last one moved. So we hired a new video editor. Her name's Allie, right? I will tell you our entire process and why we ended up with Allie. Okay. By the way, you should probably write this down. This is the hiring process that you're going to need. Okay. The first thing, number one, before anything else, get clear on what you're hiring for. Okay. Is it a salesperson? Is it a foreman? Is it an office manager? Is it a project manager? Doesn't matter. Give it a title and then get super clear on what the description of that position is. For me, an office manager is going to be different than it is for you. For me, an estimator is going to be different than for you. Finance person, right? Whatever the position is, don't get lost on what it means for somebody else. Focus on what it means for you. The more detailed, the better. Talk about what skills or qualifications they should have. Talk about their day-to-day. Talk about how they're going to be measured as far as their performance. Okay. And then talk about compensation. Get all that stuff ahead of time. Okay. Get that stuff clear. Then use one of your good friends called ChatGPT or Claude or Gronk or whatever you got out there. If you're not using AI, you need to start leveraging AI. Say, hey, here's the information that I have. Help me create a job description I can post on Indeed, on ZipRecruiter, on Facebook, on one of these other job sites. And it'll help you do that. Okay. So first thing, understand what you're hiring for. So get super clear on that description. Number two, post it. You have to post it somewhere, right? So people know, post it. Okay. Number three, now you've got people who are coming in the door. In other words, they're interested in the position. You need a filter. Okay. We recommend a couple different filters. If you're big enough, and it's usually, I would say you're 1.5 to 2 million and above. If you're big enough, I recommend using behavior profiling. Now we have a partnership with a company called the Predictive Index. And what we do is we're able to create what's called a job target. Okay. And then we have people take a short 2-minute assessment. And then we're able to compare their behavior profile with the ideal behavior profile for the position that we're hiring for. Helps us filter through people a lot faster. Okay. So going back to Allie, what did we do? We created the job description, video editor. Here's what you're going to be doing. Here's the hours. Here's the formats. Here's the thing that you need to have access to. Here's the pay, so on and so forth. Posted it. Okay. We had 120 people apply. A lot of people. Then we went through and we said, okay, let's filter through. So we filtered it down to 35. Okay. Then we went to the next step in the process. The next step was a working interview, right? A phone call interview. Skipped a step there. So a phone call interview. I'm not going to bring anybody into my office, right? Because I'm going to waste time. People show up or don't show up. I'm going to waste time with people who want to talk forever. Like I'm just going to waste time. So I schedule a phone interview. If you don't show up for your phone interview, that's it. You're done. Like I had people who were like, oh, my dog ate my homework, or, so-and-so is sick, or I slept in, or whatever. You're not the right person. I'm not looking for you. Okay. Cool. On to the next. Okay. That whittled it down to 15. Now from the 15, we did a working interview. What's the working interview? Exactly what it sounds like. Okay. Depending on the role, you want to test and see if they're actually capable of doing the thing that you want them to do. Otherwise, guess what? You're going to be training them. And odds are you probably don't want to train them. So hire somebody who has the experience and can show you that they have the experience or the knowledge. Okay. So for us, what we did is we said, here's a raw video. We need you to edit it in this style, Hormozy style. Okay. We need you to add transitions. We need you to get rid of the dead space, get rid of the questions. Like, we created this list of things. We sent them the video. Okay. 10 of them actually responded back with the homework, if you will, the assignment, the way that we wanted it done. Of the 10, we scheduled them all. Only 8 showed up. Of the 8 that showed up, Allie was number 1 by far, right? It wasn't even close. Now, why am I telling you this? Because is this the last video editor that I will ever hire? I hope not, but probably not. But I have a process that I can fall back on, okay? And the process allows me to filter through people faster. Remember, you're not hiring a person. You're hiring for a position, right? So my question right now to each of you is, how many of you actually have a hiring process? Or just post on Facebook or ask a friend, hey, do you know somebody who's looking for work, or whatever the thing is? What do you do? What does your hiring process currently look like? Shania here says, the Cutco guy knew the assignment when we were there. He surprised us with a $250 engraved knife at the IBS show. And we spent more money for client gifts. He's awesome. Yep, 100%. So Shania is a good friend of ours. Her and her husband run an excavation company, and they have decided to gift knives, engraved knives, to their customers and their clients, which is great. So Cutco is the company that does the knives for them, right? So they surprised them with a gift, and what did? They went back and they spent more money. Great. That's awesome. Okay. That's what we're talking about. We've got Clean Cut Landscaping that says this should be much longer and more frequent, would really help grow the Contractor Plus business. Thank you, my friend. Really appreciate it. We're working on some integrations right now. We're technically 2 separate companies. We have Contractor Plus and then we have Build Pro, but we do work together on a lot of things. We're working on that. So most contractors don't actually have a hiring process. Okay. They just hire as needed. But I'm going to tell you the thing that I tell everybody else. Do you want to be caught with your pants down? My estimator leaves, my project manager leaves, my office manager quits or steals money or whatever the thing is. And now you're like, crap, now I need to go through the entire hiring process and find a person. Or do you want to have the always on button? Okay. And I'm going to show you this. I can't bring it up on my screen for some reason. It's not working, but I'll show you guys this next week. You can create a website that just asks for people who are applying for a position to input their information. You can always be hiring, even if the position isn't open, right? Imagine if you needed a project manager because your guy moved out of state and now you're starting at 0, or because you were constantly hiring, you had a database of 4 to 5 guys that maybe weren't quite ready to jump ship, or you weren't quite ready to hire them, but now you are. And now all you got to do is pick up the phone and make a call. Yeah, maybe 2, 3 of them, they're, found a new job or they're not interested. But what if that one guy's there? And all of a sudden, 2 days he's with you instead of 2, 3, 4 weeks, you're having to fill in for your project manager. Again, the game can be as complicated as you want to make it, or it can be as simple as you want to make it, right? It doesn't mean it's easy, right? Business is business. But I'll tell you the same thing we talk to all of our clients about. The better you can be at using data, following processes, right? The easier it's going to be to run your business. Yes, you'll still have problems. Yes, there'll be weather issues. Yes, your client won't pay, or Johnny won't show up, or whatever the thing is. Okay. But if you have something to fall back on, it makes your life easier. So I want you guys to think this week, what is one thing that I can implement as part of my hiring process to make sure that I find the right person to help me grow instead of doubling the amount of work that I need to do. All right. That's all we got for you. It's time for you guys to get after it. Make it an amazing week. Here we are running up towards the end of February. Make sure that you're doing what you need to do to continue to grow your contracting business. If you guys have any questions, we would love to answer them for you. We have our Build Pro community that you guys, I know some of you are a part of, but for those of you who aren't, we would love for you to join our community. Let me see here. I'm going to drop the link here inside of the group. So feel free to log in. And by the way, whoever was with Clean Cut Landscaping, we do have our entire training library in there. In our free version, you will have access to some of it. Our paid version, which is $97 a month, you'll have access to our entire training library. But either way, the goal is for you to continue to grow your business. All right. That's all I got for you guys. You know what time it is. It's time to get after it. 3, 2, 1. Off you go.